Hey, it's Daniel, and today I kind of just wanted to go over a wonderful topic that I just kind of what I've been doing lately spiritually, um, and things of that nature. And let me explain that probably one of the most powerful spiritual devotions that has been helping me for the last, my entire life, but I've really been driving deep in the last few months. It's scripture study. I'm going to show you I've shown some of my scriptural studies. These are my scriptures that I use, and I'm going to kind of explain them before I go into how important scripture study has been. This right here is the scriptures that I originally used when I was a member of the Pentecostal church. It's called a Parallel Bible. It has two different versions in it. It has the King James and the Amplified Bible. Them tend to be very Pentecostal translations. Most Pentecostals use the King James. A lot of the more people like Joyce Myers and stuff like that, a lot of the more TV preachers also use the Amplified. And so I wanted a translation where I could switch back and forth. This was actually given to me for my 18th birthday, and I love it. It is highlighted, studied up, and I use this all the time still. I mean, it's just one of my favorite Bibles that I still own, and I just use it. I love to dig deep into the scriptures, and that's one of the biggest. Even though I'm a Druid and I'm pagan oriented, scripture study has always calmed me, has always helped me connect with a higher power, and I love to read the scriptures. Why, I used to be a biblical literalist. Like, I literally believed the myth. Everything in the Bible I literally believed. I don't see it that way anymore. And I'm going to explain why in a little bit, but first I'm going to explain some other books I have here. This is a quad. I think I've shown it in another bidding. This is my newest one. I got in 2013. And it's got the Holy Bible, King James Version, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and Pearl of Great Price. This is produced by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I was a member of this church when I was younger, and I do enjoy the addition of the Restoration Scriptures. I'm no longer a member of the LDS Church, but I love this because of the footnotes and the study and stuff. I mean, it references everything in all the Scriptures. I mean, it is just, and it's got, the Topical Guide and Bible Dictionary, if I can find it, it's just humongous. This is all just study helps right here. And then in the back, there's more study helps. So, I love it I use this more for the study helps than I do necessarily for a lot of the Mormon rhetoric, because I don't really necessarily believe in that. But I love this. This is my new edition, and it's updated, and I love it too, and I use it just all the time. Now, as some people know, I'm currently a member of the Community of Christ. Community of Christ is a liberal branch of the Restoration movement. Mormonism is part of the Restoration movement. Community of Christ historically was Mormon, but many people, they no longer really use that title, but they still believe in the Book of Mormon. And this is an edition of the Book of Mormon they produce, the Book of Mormon Revised Authorized Version. And this is simply just a little bit more, it kind of goes through the Book of Mormon and makes it a little bit easier to read and reconstructs it a little better. I enjoy this. It gets rid of a lot of the repetitiveness that the LDS version of the Book of Mormon does, and I just love it too. And then this is the Holy Scriptures. This is the inspired version of the Bible. Inspired version, the Mormons call it the Joseph Smith translation. It is a translation of the Bible that Joseph Smith channeled. That's really, they don't want to call it that. He channeled it. It's many people would consider it New Agey. I love it. It is my absolutely favorite version of the Bible. It does sound a lot like the King James, and so if you're looking for easy translation, this would not be the one, but I just absolutely love this. The chapters and verses are different from a regular Bible. There are more chapters, more verses. There are more stuff to it. There's just so much more included than in a regular Bible that I just love. I love to dig into this and just read it. But I'm going to explain to you why scripture study is so important to me. And one of the big reasons is in the Book of Mormon, there is a verse, if I can find it. I haven't memorized, and it says, "Feast upon the words of Christ." I believe that scriptures are a spiritual feast for our soul. These are, in what I learned in the community of Christ, they are inspired sacred stories about people's interaction with the divine. That's why the community of Christ continues adding to those scriptures. There's another book I don't have with me because I let my brother borrow it, which is called The Doctrine and Covenants. The community of Christ Doctrine and Covenants is always growing. They're always adding to it. I mean, their scripture for them is not something that was made long ago, but it's a new process. It's something that's still happening today. God is still talking to his children. And again, even in scripture, God can speak to us through personal revelation. But so I study the scriptures of all the world. I understand these are the myths are the scriptures of the pagans, in a sense. You look at them and you can find spiritual enlightenment. These are other people's interaction with the divine. And that's one reason why scripture study is so important to me, because I feel like if God can do it for them, God can do it for me. Even if the stories aren't taken literal, because I don't believe all the things in Scripture actually happen the way they said they happened. I don't think that's the point of Scripture. I think the point of Scripture is to present people's interaction with the divine, and we can learn from that. We can learn from their mistakes, and we can learn from we can be happy when they succeed. That's just how I view Scripture, and why Scripture is so important to me. My favorite Scripture is the scriptures in the Bible would be the Book of Psalms and the Book of John. And First John, not the Gospel. I love the Gospel of John and First John. I love them. They're one of my favorites. I try to read the New Testament all the way through every year, and I read the Book of Mormon all the way through every year. But for me, I believe in feasting upon the words of Christ. Taking in that stuff. It's a spiritual feast. I think a lot of people are starving spiritually, and I think that a lot of people, pagans, Christians, could benefit from Bible study. I'm not saying becoming a Christian. I'm just saying that a lot of people can use. And for me, the Bible is the most powerful spell book. I find especially in the Old Testament, the Old and New Testament, I can take my Bible and I can find, so many magic, so many spells from good and positive. There are curses in the Bible, there are blessings, there are healings, love spells. It has it all. It is, and I do believe the Bible, a lot of it was originally intended to be used as a spell book. And so, particularly importantly, as a witch, I think the Bible can be wonderful in my personal magical work, not just my spiritual life. As a druid, we find many aspects in here that, for me, about God creating nature. In the Book of Genesis, God creates everything, and He says, and it's good, and He repeats that. That's kind of the basis of revival Druidry, that nature is good. Nature is God created it for a purpose, and I just kind of wanted to share that today. Many blessings.